This conference will now be recorded.
So in today's session, we are going to discuss about object-oriented programming features, and we will see what exactly the object-oriented programming, what are the various fundamental principles or pillars of object-oriented programming, and how to use this object-oriented programming in order to write the custom business logic. We'll see practically in this case, and how to implement the business logics. So how to implement the business logics by using this object-oriented programming, we will see practically in this case. Now, so that already told you in the initial concept of Apex programming. Apex is one of the cloud-based object-oriented programming language. Apex is one of the cloud-based object-oriented programming language where each business logic should be implemented in the form of classes and objects. That means in object-oriented programming language, each and every business logic should be implemented in the form of classes and objects. What are the business logic that you want? It may be to save the record, it may be to update the record, it may be to fetch the record, it may be to delete the record. Whatever the business logic that you want, every business logic we have to write in the form of classes and objects. So in object-oriented programming language, each and every business logic should be implemented in the form of classes and objects. Now, so because your object-oriented programming language is providing more flexibilities and then more benefits and the more security for your data. Whatever the code that you are writing, for that code, it will be providing more security over there. It is having more options when compared with the other programming languages. Like as with the other programming approaches, like as procedure-oriented programming, so it will be having some more benefits are available as part of object-oriented programming language. Now, so let me give that note right over here. Apex is a cloud-based object-oriented programming language. Apex is a cloud-based object-oriented programming language. Now, in object-oriented programming, each business logic should be implemented in the form of classes and objects. In object-oriented programming, each business logic should be implemented in the form of classes and objects. Whatever the business logic you want to write, the whole business logic you have to implement in the form of classes and objects. So then we have to understand what exactly a class, what exactly an object, first of all. So what do you mean by a class? What do you mean by an object? What is the relation between these two? Okay. So what exactly a class? What exactly an object? What is the relation between these two? You should be able to understand the difference between these two first. You should be able to understand the relation between these two first. Now let's see. So now let's see how can we define what exactly a class, what exactly an object. Now, let me explain a general scenario. For example, I have so many items available in the world. Like we have a system, that means a computer and a mobile. We have a fan, we have a TV, we have a tube light, we have a clock, we have a person, human beings also. Whatever the things are available in the real world, everything is nothing but an object. Okay, whatever the things are available in the real world, everything is nothing but an object. Fan is an object, TV is an object, laptop is an object, mobile is an object, blackboard is an object, pen is an object, person is an object. Everything is nothing but an object in the real world. Now, in this case, what exactly the class? Okay, what is association between the class and an object? So, what is the relation between a class and an object? Now, let's see practically in this case. Now, let's see in this case. For example, come to a general scenario so that you can understand more. Assume that God has introduced the human beings onto the earth. Because of the God grace only, we are came to the world. We all are been came into the world because of the God's grace. So God has introduced the human beings onto the earth. While God is introducing the human beings onto the earth, He has defined every human being should have some certain properties. Every human being should have some certain values, some principles, some attributes. So what are those attributes? When God has introduced the human beings onto the earth, He has introduced the human being onto the earth. God has introduced the human being onto the earth. While He is introducing the human beings onto the earth, He has defined every human being should have certain properties. Like he will be having his name, his age, date of birth, gender, salary, designation, qualification, phone, fax, email, address, like that. God has introduced some set of properties. Every human being should have some certain properties. Like he will be having some height, weight, color, like that. God has introduced so many properties here. While he is introducing the human beings onto the earth, he has introduced some set of properties that every human being should have. So every human being should have the name, age, date of birth, height, weight, color, gender, salary, designation, qualification, phone, fax, email, address. So that every human being should have some certain properties over here. Now, for example, today God has introduced a person onto the earth. Today, God has introduced a person onto the earth. He is the person. Now, today, God has introduced a human being onto the earth. His name is some Ramesh. His name is some Ramesh Kumar. Today, God has introduced a baby boy, like as some name Ramesh, because nowadays the people are going to be allocating the name on the day one itself, on his birthday only, based on the date, based on the time. Okay, they are going to be giving the name also on the same day. So assume that today God has introduced a baby boy onto the earth. So now as a baby boy, he is also having same properties, right? Yes, because he is also a human being. Even though he may be a baby boy or a baby girl, else everybody will be having the same properties because he is also one of the human beings. Now, in this case, he is also having the same properties. So now, for this particular baby boy also, they will be having some values are available. What is the name of this baby boy? Today they have allocated the name as Sam Ramesh Kumar. So what is the age? 1 day. This is the day one. Date of birth, like as some July 27, 2020. Height, we are indicating like as 1.5 feet. Weight, I'm indicating like as some 3 kg. Color, okay, white. Gender, he is a male. Salary, not applicable because he is a baby boy. Okay, now today is his birth date, so that here he is not working anywhere. He did not get anything, so that salary is not applicable. Designation, not applicable. Qualification, not applicable. Phone number, not available. Fax number, not available. Email, not available. Address, some SR Nagar, some Hyderabad. This is the address of this person, baby boy over here. Now, so in this state today, God has introduced a human being onto the earth with the name Ramesh Kumar. That means he is a baby boy. Today is his birth date. He's a newborn baby. He's a newborn baby boy. So now his name is Ramesh Kumar. So he's having the values for these properties. So now name Ramesh Kumar, age, 1 day, date of birth, height value, weight value, color, gender, salary, like this. So like the similar way, God has introduced few more people onto the earth. Sometime before, God has introduced a person onto the earth. His name is some Ravi Kiran. His name is some Ravi Kiran. His name is some Ravi Kiran. So in this case, he is also one of the human being, right? Yes. He is also having the same properties, right? Yes, he is also having same properties. So he is also having some values for this each and every property. Yes. Then what is the name? Name is some Ravi Kiran. Age some 20 years. 20 years back he came to the world. Date of birth like as some March 20th. Okay, March 20th, like as some 2000. Height he is having at 5.8. Weight some 70 kgs. Color some white. Gender some male. Salary some 15,000. Designation sales representative. Sales representative. Qualification some BSc. Phone number some value. Fax number some value. Email ID ravi@some gmail.com. Address some BTM layout Bangalore. BTM layout Bangalore. These are the values. Like the similar way, God has introduced so many human beings onto the earth. This each and every human being will be having their own properties, right? Yes. For example, I'm a human being. I'm a person. I'm also one of that human being. I'm also having my own properties. I have my own name, my age, my date of birth, my qualification, okay, my designation, my salary, my email ID, my phone number, my address. I'm having my properties. Like the similar way, we have another person like some Roshan. Roshan is having his name, his qualification, his date of birth, his email ID, his phone number, his address, everything he is having his own property. Like the similar way, we are having one person, some Revati. Revati is having her properties, like as her name, her qualification, her date of birth, her gender, and her email, her contact number, her salary, her designation, like that. Everybody is having their own properties, their own names, their own qualification, their own date of birth. But all are human beings. So in this case, what happened? Now, Ramesh is nothing but an object, because that already told you every person in the real world is nothing but an object. So this is an object over here. This is an object. This is also an object over here. Like the similar way, whatever the peoples are available in the real world, those all are objects. But these all are nothing but what? Human beings. Ramesh is also one of the human being. Ravi Kiran is also one of the human beings. That means what here? Each and every object is associated with a class. That class is nothing but human being. This is the class. Okay, this is the class. So now in this case, when come to the class contains some set of properties. Okay, class contains some set of properties. This is also called as a blueprint. This is also called as a prototype, which it describes, which contains some set of properties inside this. Now, so now here in this case, we are having this object. Each and everything available in the real world is nothing but an object. Now, so in this case, for example, assume that I'm having a pen in my hand. Okay, in my hand, I'm having a pen. That pen is nothing but an object here. That pen is nothing but an object. Now tell me, that is the only pen that we have in the entire world? No. This is one of the pens. So now here, whatever the pen that you are having right now, that is nothing but an object. And then the pen is nothing but an actual class. This pen belongs to a class here, pen class. We have so many pens are available in the real world, which has been manufactured by the different organizations with the different colors, with the different shapes, with the different prices. So that, but all are belongs to the fan class only here. For example, I have a fan in my room right now. So the fan which I'm looking at right now, the fan which is available in my room, that is nothing but an object. Now tell me, this is the only fan that I have in the real world? No. We have so many fans are available. Different types of fans are available. Different colors of fans are available. Different manufacturers, different prices are available. But all are belongs to the fan class. Like the similar way, I am a human being. I am an object. And then Roshan is also one of the human beings. He is also an object. And then Revati is also one of the object. Abhishek is an object. But we all are belongs to human being class. That means the thing which you are looking at right now, that is nothing but an object. Okay, the fan which you are looking at right now, that is nothing but an object. But we have so many fans are available, all are belongs to fan class. We have so many objects are available which are belongs to a class itself. So that Ramesh Kumar is also one of the human being. Ravi Kiran is also one of the human being. So that here, when coming to a class contains some set of properties, some set of members inside it. Okay, some set of members inside it. That's what here we are going to be indicating that. When coming to the class is a physical entity. Class is a physical entity or a blueprint or a prototype which contains some set of properties inside this. Okay, which contains some set of properties or members inside it. So when coming to a class is nothing but a physical entity or a prototype, okay, or a blueprint which contains some set of members inside it. That means you will be having some set of variables, some set of properties, some set of methods, some set of constructors, some set of functions also available inside the class. So in order to access this one, what we need an object over here. Okay, so in this case, when coming to the class, a class can have one or more number of objects. Okay, a class can have one or more number of objects also. Now, in this case, each and every object will be holding its own values here. Objects are holding the values for these class members. Whatever the members are available in the class, for each and every member, it is having the value over here. So now tell me, in this case, memory will be allocating for what? For the class or for the object? object. Why the memory is required? To store some value. Where is the values? Inside this object. So to store the values, okay, it requires the memory. So object will be having the memory. So here assume that I'm having two objects are available. This is object 1, this is object 2. So now will Salesforce is allocating the same memory for both the objects? No, different. Because here the values are different. Here the values are different. The values are different here. So in this case, here we are having less values are available. Here we are having more values are available. So depends upon the number of values you are going to store, that much of memory will be getting allocated. So when coming to the objects, objects are purely supporting dynamic memory allocation. But what are the primitive data types we have discussed as of now, like as integer, double, decimal, boolean. For that one, there is a fixed size. Integer 4 bytes, double 8 bytes, decimal 8 bytes, long 8 bytes. These are having some fixed size. But when coming to the object, there is no fixed size. There is no some fixed size. Depends upon the values which are stored. It will be allocating the memory dynamically at time. Here we have entered very less values over here. These values are empty right now, so no memory allocation. But here we have entered the value for each and every variable, so that it will be allocating more memory over here. So that for this object less memory, for this object more memory will be allocated. So that objects are purely supporting dynamic memory allocation. Dynamically at runtime depends upon the values which you are going to store. The respective memory will be getting allocated by Salesforce. So in this case, when coming to the class, class is nothing but a physical entity or a blueprint or a prototype which contains some set of members inside it. So now in order to access these members, we are using an object over here. Okay, we are using an object. Simply in one sentence, I can say, for example, let me give you one more scenario. Class is like as a cupboard. Okay, class is like as a cupboard. For example, in our house, I'm having a cupboard. In that cupboard, we can place so many items. We can place some jewelry also, money also, gold also, anything you can place. So once I'm placing the items inside that cupboard, I'm making a lock on that. Okay, I'm making a lock on that. Suppose if anybody wants to use that items, then what they need to do? They have to unlock it, right? Because cupboard is already locked. If you want to use those items, then we have to unlock that. For that one, what we need? We need a key. That key is nothing but an object. Because class contains some set of members inside it. If you want to access these members, then we need a reference that is called as object. So through object, we can access this class members and we can assign the value for each and every member over there. This is internal functionality. So in this case, when coming to that class, class is nothing but a physical entity which contains some set of members inside it. Now, so when coming to the object, object is also called as a reference of a class or instance of a class. That means it's an instance. In order to access that class members, we need a reference. That reference is called as an object. Then object contains what? Object contains the values. For what? For the class members. Whatever the class members are available, for those class members, object will be holding the values. Now, so let me give the notepad over here. Class. So what exactly a class? Now let me explain. Class is nothing but a physical entity or a prototype or a blueprint which contains a set of members inside it. Class is nothing but a physical entity or prototype or blueprint which contains a set of members inside it. Now, a class can have one or more variables properties, constructors, procedures, and functions inside it. The class can have one or more variables, properties, constructors, procedures, and functions inside it. We can place all these things inside a class. Now, when coming to the object here. So now here in this case, to access the class members, we need a reference. We need a reference called as an object. To access the class members, we need a reference called as an object. So now let's see what exactly an object when coming to the object. Object is a logical entity. Logical entity which contains the values for the class members. Object is a logical entity which contains the values for the class members. Object is also called as an instance of the class. Object is also called as an instance of a class. Okay, object is also called as an instance of a class. Now, so when coming to the object here, we can have one or more objects for a class. That means a class can have one or more objects. Each object will hold a different value for the class member. Because you observe this one, here also name property, here the name is Ramesh Kumar, here the name is Ravi Kumar. Here age is 1 day, here age is 20 years. Like that, each and every variable will be holding some different values. In this object, a different value, in this object, different value. So that each object will be holding different values for the class members. Memory will be always allocated for the object. Memory will be always allocated for the object. Memory will be always allocated for the object. Now, objects are supporting the dynamic memory allocation. Dynamic memory allocation, so that we can avoid the memory wastage. Each object contains its own memory allocation. Different amount of memory will be getting allocated. Okay, now, so this is the concept of class and object and user relation. So class contains some set of variables inside it. So in order to access those variables, in order to access those class members, we need a reference that is called as object. That is the internal functionality. Okay. That is the internal functionality over here. So now whenever we are going to be having the class, so for each and every class, we are defining some set of variables. So in order to access those variables, we need some reference that is called as an object. Now, so this is the concept of class and an object. Now, so now let's see. Whenever I'm using this object-oriented programming provides a set of principles. Now, so now whenever we are using this object-oriented programming to implement that code, so now object-oriented programming provides a set of principles inside it. It is providing some set of principles over there. Those are called as object-oriented programming language features, or those are also called as pillars of object-oriented programming language. So in this case, when coming to the object-oriented programming provides some set of principles over there. Those are called as pillars of object-oriented programming language. Okay. Features are pillars of object-oriented programming. So what are the various features are the pillars of object-oriented programming language? Now let's see practically in this case. Now, so as part of this object-oriented programming language, we have 4 pillars are available. We have 4 main features are available as part of this object-oriented programming language. The first one is encapsulation. Second one, abstraction. Third one, inheritance. Fourth one, polymorphism. These are the 4 fundamental features are the pillars of object-oriented programming language. So as part of this object-oriented programming language, we are having these 4 fundamental features are pillars. Encapsulation, abstraction, inheritance, and polymorphism. These are the 4 features are available as part of this object-oriented programming language. This is also called as OOPS concept. Okay, OOPS concept means object-oriented programming language. Now, so what exactly this encapsulation? What is this abstraction, inheritance, and the polymorphism? Now let's see one by one each and every feature. Because it's a common question, please explain the features of object-oriented programming. Are the OOPS principles? They will raise a question. Please explain OOPS principles. So you should be able to explain that. So encapsulation, abstraction, inheritance, and the polymorphism. So then what do you mean by encapsulation? Encapsulating is nothing but what? Grouping, combining together. Okay, encapsulation in the sense grouping or combining together. So what we are combining, that already told you, a class can have one or more variables, not only one, multiple variables, multiple members we are grouping together inside the class. What it contains some variables, some properties, some constructors, some procedures, some functions. We are grouping all these things together inside that class. So when coming to a class is nothing but a physical entity which contains a group of members inside it. So that here, so when coming to the encapsulation means what? Capsule. For example, let's take the general example, capsule. Capsule means what? A medical tablet in order to cure some diseases. So now tell me, the tablet has been manufactured by some Reddy Labs also, Cipla also, Aurobindo also, AstraZeneca also, it may be anything. Now tell me how they're preparing the tablet. By using a single medicine? No, they're preparing some multiple drugs. They're going to be mixing those drugs into the single medicine to prepare a tablet. That means what? They're collecting the various drugs, various medicines, and they're going to be preparing. They're going to be adding based on the
Hello.
Hello, Firoz.
So now in this case, whenever they are going to preparing the medicine, they are going to be mixing the multiple drugs together. Okay, in order to prepare the formula, based on that formula, they are going to preparing the medicine over here. So that means what here? They are going to mixing together a group of functionalities. They are mixing together a group of drugs. That means drug means a medicine. That is like as a medicine which they are going to be using to prepare a capsules, so that they can able to cure some diseases. Now, so like the similar way here also, when coming to the encapsulation, encapsulating means what? Grouping together, nothing but binding together, wrapping up. Okay, wrapping up. Wrapping means what? Grouping over here. So in this case, we are grouping a set of functionalities together. Then where we are grouping all these things inside the class, we are grouping some set of members. What members? Variables, properties, constructors, procedures, function. These all are called as members of the class. These all are called as members of the class. Like as class is like as a family member. So like as a family. In that family, we'll be having so many family members are there. So these variables, properties, these are all like as a family members. Now, so in this case, how can we achieve this encapsulation? Encapsulation can be achieved with the help of classes and another feature called as interfaces. With the help of classes and interfaces, we can achieve the encapsulation feature over there. The facility is available. Now, let's encapsulation. So encapsulation is used to group a set of members together into a single entity. Encapsulation can be achieved with the help of classes and interfaces. Encapsulation can be achieved with the help of classes and interfaces. Next, abstraction. So what do you mean by this abstraction? Now let me explain. Abstract in the sense what? Abstract in the sense, the high level. Like for example, so I hope everybody has done with your graduation or post-graduation. During your graduation or the post-graduation, the last semester you are spending the time to implement a project. So that will be completely a project work. During the complete semester, you are spending the time on project to develop a project based on your the technology. It may be electronics or electrical, or it may be chemical or mechanical, computer science, whatever, anything. Whatever the branch that you are associated, you are working on a project here by spending some 3 to 4 months of time during the vacation. Now, so before start implementing the project, first of all, you are going to be informing to them. So this is a project which I'm going to work upon. I'm going to working on this particular project over here. We are going to describing this information. We are going to providing the information. This is the project which I'm going to work for the next 3 months. So now we are going to submitting the abstract to the college people. So we are submitting the abstract to the college people over there. In that abstract, clearly we are indicating that, so this is what my project title, this is the project description, this is the problem statement, and this is the proposed solution, this is what the technology I'm going to use, and this is the team members that we have for my project. So now tell me what we are doing here. We are going to be giving that abstract within some 2 to 3 pages max. In maximum in 2 pages, we are giving the abstract to the college people. But this is a project which I'm going to be implementing as part of my semester course. So now tell me, are we describing the whole information over there? Like as what classes I'm defining, what tables I'm defining, what fields I'm defining, what modules I'm implementing, what screens I'm designing. Are we discussing all these things inside this? No. In the abstract, we're not discussing all these things over here. In the abstract, simply we are going to be indicating the high level idea of the project. That's it. Not the complete information over there. That means what? We are going to be disclosing something, we are hiding something. Like the similar way, for example, it's a general scenario. So now everybody is using WhatsApp nowadays. Okay, everybody is using WhatsApp nowadays. So every WhatsApp has been developed by an organization. Now tell me, do you know which technology they have used to develop the WhatsApp application? Do you know that? No. Which programming language they have used, do you know? We don't know. What architecture they have followed, do you know? We don't know. Which database they are using to store our data, do you know that? We don't know. What tables they have designed, we don't know. What columns they have designed, we don't know. What modules they are using, we don't know. What screens they have implemented, we are using that. And then what business logic they have implemented, we don't know. What classes they have prepared, we don't know. What methods we have prepared, we don't know. But we are using WhatsApp. We are using all the features. That means what? That disclosing something. What they're disclosing, they're going to providing the user interface. Screens to you in order to create your account, in order to add a member to your contact list, in order to create a group, in order to add the contact, to remove the contact, to block the contact. For that one, they have given so many user interfaces. We are using all. We're using all these user interfaces, but we don't know the backend implementation, how they have developed, how they have implemented. We don't know all these things. Because the WhatsApp people are not disclosing all these things. Simply they're going to be indicating, boss, this is one of the messaging application. So just you can use to have some conversation in terms of text, audio, and the video. So they're not disclosing how they have implemented, what technologies they have used, what classes they have implemented, what architecture they have followed, which database they're using. They're not disclosing all these things. Simply they're going to be indicating that, so this is the features are available, you can use these features. That means what? That exposing something, they're hiding something. Like for example, assume that if somebody asks you your bank account number, what the people will do? The people will be disclosing that. we are disclosing our bank account number. Maybe that person will deposit some money into our account. Okay. Suppose if the person asks about your bank account PIN number, will you disclose that? No, because it is very, very confidential, very sensitive. That means what we are disclosing something, we are hiding something. Now, so in this case here also, abstraction is nothing but what we are going to be providing some interfaces to the people, but without providing the backend implementation, without providing the background implementation. That means what? We are providing the interfaces, we are providing the user interfaces to the people, but without providing the complexity of implementation. How we have developed, we are not disclosing all this. Okay, now this is a functionality. That means here something, okay, we can expose, something we can hide. That means security purpose. The more security features are available in Salesforce also. That facility is available here. So now in this case, abstraction is used to provide the interfaces to the users, but without providing the complexity of implementation. But without providing the complexity of implementation. Then what we can do by using abstraction, we can achieve the data hiding. By using abstraction, we can achieve the data hiding. This is a fundamental basics. This is a major advantage that we have with the help of this abstraction. Next, the third one. Inheritance. What exactly inheritance? Inheriting in the sense what? Acquiring, accessing the features. So now in this case, what we can do, we can access the features of one class into another class. Okay, we can access the features of one class into another class with the help of this inheritance feature. So now here in this case, now here in this case, we are going to be discussing over here. So when coming to the inheritance, inheritance describes okay how to acquire and how to access the features of one class into another class. In order to access the members of one class into another class, we are using the help of inheritance. Okay. Inheritance is used to acquire the features of one class into another class, so that we can achieve the reusability. Okay. In order to achieve the reusability feature, we are going to be using this inheritance so that we can avoid the redundant code. We can avoid the duplicate code inside your Salesforce instance. Now, the polymorphism. So what do you mean by this polymorphism? Basically, polymorphism is not an English word. It's a Greek word, which is a combination of two words, poly plus morphism. So polymorphism is in English, it's not an English word, it's a Greek word, which is a combination of two words, poly plus morphism. Poly means what? Many. Poly means many. Morphism means forms. Morphism means forms. That means many forms. That means what? We can define the multiple functions with the same name inside this polymorphism. With the help of this polymorphism feature, we can define multiple functions with the same name. Suppose, for example, when you take some C programming language, assume that I'm defining a function with the name some addition to perform some addition of the two numerical values. I'm passing some 100, I'm passing some 240. That means two numerical values. Here one integer value, I'm passing second integer value also. Forget about the syntax, we'll see everything in the further classes. So now to do the addition operation, we are going to be defining that addition method. Suppose sometimes I want to do the addition of three values, so that I'm defining one more method with passing three integer values here. But in this case, C programming won't allow. C programming won't allow because here we can't define the two functions with the same name. But now here also I'm doing addition, here also I'm doing addition, right? Sometimes I will do the addition of two values, sometimes three values, four values, 10 values, 1000 values, depends upon my requirement. In this case, so now for the two integer values addition, I'm giving the name like as addition. For the three integer values, then what name do I need to provide? If I'm giving a different name, then how can we understand? To do the addition of three values, what is the function name? How can we identify? How can we remember all these things? It will be very, very difficult. It will be very, very difficult to understand and to remember all these names. It will be very, very difficult to understand and it will be very, very difficult to remember all the names over here. Now, so now here in this case, what we can do? Now here in this case, what we can do over here? Now in this case, do I need to give a different name? No, I don't want to give a different name. I want to give the same name because here also I'm doing the addition, here also I'm doing the addition. So I want to give the name like as addition only. For that reason, Salesforce has given a feature that is called as polymorphism. Salesforce is supporting a feature called as polymorphism. That means we can define multiple methods also with the same name. Okay, we can define multiple methods also with the same name, okay, with a different signature. Signature means what? The number of parameters, order of the parameters, type of the parameters will be getting different. So with the help of this polymorphism feature, we can able to prepare the multiple forms of that function. Like for example, morphic means what? Different. Copy. Like for example, assume that I'm planning to get married. I'm planning to get married. So that here I need to share my photos to that marriage bureau people. Then what we will do? We'll go to a photo studio and we are going to be taking some good snaps, the good pictures. So with a different background over here. One photo with a white background, another photo with a different, like as a natural screen. Okay, a scenery photo, and one photo with a different background. That means what? Photo is only one. We are doing the morphics over here. In the internet also, you might be observing so many morphic photos. Like as body belongs to one separate person and the face belongs to one separate person. That means they are preparing some morphic photos also. Different photos they are going to be making it clone. So like the similar way here also, Salesforce has given the facility of polymorphism through which we can define the multiple functions with the same name, with a different signature. Okay, now by using polymorphism feature, we can define the multiple functions with the same name, with a different signature. Different signature, where the signature includes the number of parameters, type of the parameters, and order of the parameters. Order of the parameters. Okay. The polymorphism allows us to define multiple functions with the same name with a different signature. Now, so as part of this polymorphism, we have two types of polymorphisms available. We have two types of polymorphism. First one is compile time polymorphism. This is also called as static binding. This is also called as early binding. Second one, runtime polymorphism. This is also called as dynamic binding. This is also called as late binding. Then how can we implement this? These are the features we'll see in the further sessions. Compile time polymorphism will be getting achieved by using a feature called as overloading feature. So which can be implemented with the help of the two features. First one is by using method overloading, and the second one constructor overloading. And the runtime polymorphism. Runtime polymorphism will be getting achieved with the help of a feature called as overriding. Overriding feature, which can be achieved with the help of a feature called as method overriding. Method overriding. These are the four features are available as part of your object-oriented programming system. As part of object-oriented programming language, we have four pillars are available, four fundamental features are available. First one, encapsulation. Second one, abstraction. Third one, inheritance. Fourth one, polymorphism. Okay, these are the fundamental basics. And then how can we create the class, okay, inside your Salesforce instance? We'll see practically in tomorrow's session. In tomorrow's session, we are going to be discussing about the class practical part. How to define a class, how many ways are available to define a class, we'll see practically. Along with that, we'll see the concept of object also. How to create an object in Salesforce, we'll see practically in tomorrow's session. Okay, tomorrow we are going to be discussing about the practical part. Okay, so the concept is very, very important. Object-oriented programming concept is very, very important because the entire business logic we are writing inside these classes only from now onwards. Okay. Thank you,
Sir,
guys.
other than, do you have any